Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, APC, for inviting me to speak to you this afternoon. So I'm Fiona Landy, I'm Delivery Manager at the Hydrogen Accelerator. We're based at the University of St Andrews. I'm just going to give you a bit of a snapshot of what's going on up in Scotland at this moment in time and some of the projects that we've been involved with. From my background, I've been in the sector about 11, 12 years. Started out in Aberdeen City Council, involved in the very early stages of fuel cell electric buses, deployment and the fuel infrastructure. And Harsh, wherever you are, was extremely supportive of a lot of the initiatives that we had in place at the time. Then I was seconded out for over 6 years to the Scottish Cities Alliance, which is a unique collaboration across the 7 cities in Scotland, and it's about kickstarting the hydrogen economy to bring forward the commercialisation of hydrogen fuel cell electric buses, the hydrogen fuel infrastructure, and then starting the decarbonisation of their captive fleets. And many of them have got thousands of vehicles, as you can imagine. And latterly, I was seconded a bit further out to Transport Scotland in their Low Carbon Economy Directorate. It's a new directorate, and it's cross-cutting across all the other directorates within Transport Scotland to look at how do we start to really fund innovation and start that decarbonisation programme. And part of that initiative was to start looking at the hydrogen side. So they're very focused on battery electric, really understood where they were going on that type of technology, but not on the hydrogen. So my role there was to also support some of those initiatives to take forward. Okay, so this statement came out from Rosanna Cunningham back in 2019, and Scotland has had always a very major focus on how we decarbonise the actual transport network and heat, etc. So very much has been like that since 2019. So the First Minister announced the programme for government in 2019, also the setting up of the Hydrogen Accelerator. And it's very much what it says on the tin. It is about coming together. We're based at the University of St Andrews to really drive forward the initiatives and that coordination piece for Scotland to really place themselves as one of the world leaders within this particular sector. We have all the right ingredients. We have lots of wind and we have lots of water. And our focus within the Hydrogen Accelerator is only on green hydrogen. I mean, there's blue and all the other colours and the rainbow, but that's where we actually really concentrate on. And it is being that honest broker. It is to facilitate organisations who may want to come and work in Scotland. They have a reach across academia. They have a reach across public and private sector organisations to really help to accelerate technologies and get that innovation on the ground. But also, for me, it's great to have all these academics and these experts around me that I can actually engage with and help to route organisations to provide that expertise. So this is the structure, and we're funded through Transport Scotland. And so in partnership with the University of Strathclyde, it's very much on that engineering expertise with the Power Network Distribution Centre and the Driving Electric Revolution. We've also got that reach across academia and R&D, very much focused with the public sector as well, because that's probably one of the hardest sectors for them to actually decarbonise, because cash-strapped local authorities, especially after the impact of COVID on their actual budgets, has been pretty devastating. So you'll see in a minute I'm going to put a timeline up when we have to actually go to decarbonisation, 5 years for the rest of the UK, but the public sector has to go a lot earlier. So that is really quite a big challenge. So some of the activities that we're involved with, it really is about that building up that Scottish supply chain, that knowledge, the expertise, bringing their skills, the education, lots of other initiatives where we're looking at where would you set up an academy. So colleagues within the University of St Andrews under Professor John Irvine, he's working very closely with the Michelin Scotland Innovation Park, which is the home of sustainable mobility for Scotland, to build this academy so we can start to really build up the apprenticeships and the skills that we need to be able to work within the hydrogen sector. And of paramount importance to us also is about health and safety. It's great that you'll start to see the buzzwords around hydrogen and all these new companies wanting to come into the sector. Absolutely welcome that. But health and safety is absolutely of paramount importance, because if we start making silly mistakes, cutting corners, we don't want any catastrophes to be happening anywhere in the sector, because it would ruin the sector completely. So that's what it's all about, is really trying to bridge that gap and be an honest broker and enabler for these technologies to really get off the ground. This is our challenging timeline in Scotland. And as you can see, for the public sector, discouraging any new purchases of diesel and petrol vehicles by 2025 in the public sector is seriously, seriously challenging. And so my passion, having worked in the sector and in the public sector for 12 years, is about how do we really support these local authorities to make that change, that transition, and then to have zero-emission city centres by 2030. These are all really, really challenging targets, and where are we in terms of where are the vehicles, where is the funding to actually support all this? Some of the projects that we've been involved with will start to understand now where we've gone from really quite novel projects, which we're pretty proud of, and there's lots of lessons learned, some good, some not so good. But this project, we actually lead on that at the University of St Andrews, the Hydrogen Accelerator. And you'll see now all the green lines, this is the decarbonisation strategy for trains in Scotland, all the green side on the west side of the country, the east side of the country, we're not going to electrify. So there's a big opportunity there to actually start deploying fuel cell electric trains. And that's what we're doing at this moment in time. Did a really good demonstration at COP26. And it was fantastic because we're looking at the Scottish supply chain and also that just transition from an oil, I'm going to run out of time, from an oil economy to a green economy, and looking at the transition where all services companies can actually get involved with that. So we've got 5 local companies working on the train project with us at this moment in time. Again, it's about this transition. So this is at Highlands. It's H2 Green announced the other day that they are working with Highland Council. And this is about understanding and putting a feasibility study together of where we would put strategic hubs across the Highlands area, because it's not like it's rural and cities. And so working in a very rural setting, you do need the fuel cell electric vehicles because battery electric vehicles are not right for that particular area. And also, it's also linking up with the islands, really important, that connectivity between the mainland and islands as well. Again, with Scottish Power and ITM Power, the development of Whiteley, which is the biggest wind farm in Europe, we can start seeing electrolysis actually on site at Whiteley. And that means we're going to start producing tons of hydrogen around the Glasgow city region. Again, really helping to really drive that economy. Put this up here, this is the refuse collection vehicle. We don't have, right now, dilemma. If all the cities want to decarbonise the local authorities, this is during the Crown, this refuse collection vehicle, we don't have them readily available. So that development has been underway. I've got the funding for that to go on. And so that vehicle was developed by Arcola Energy, it's now Ballard Motive Solutions, along with Highlands. It's also building up that Scottish supply chain and that knowledge. I have to speed up, sorry. Another project we're involved with is the Scottish Hydrogen Freight Trial through Innovate UK. And this is about trying to look at the decarbonisation of freight, the big 44-tonne vehicles, and where we need, strategically, where do all those hydrogen hubs have to be for both public and private sector organisations. So we're going to finish that report and we'll be submitting that to Innovate UK on behalf of DFT at the end of March. Another one is the powertrain test facilities that we're actually leading on as well, and that's going to be built at the Mission Scotland Innovation Park. This is off-road testing of electric powertrains. Again, it's all around this transport ecosystem, building that innovation in Scotland. And we want to welcome OEMs to come in and be testing all their electric powertrains and really building up that expertise in Scotland as well. Obviously, we have the Hydrogen Action Plan, which is launched by the Scottish Government. That's 100 million funding over the next 5 years. And in all truth, it's really not going to be enough if we really want to accelerate and achieve our 2045 target and really build that hydrogen economy. So we've got to build that gap. And how we do that, we really do need the investment from the private sector. But the dilemma is, what is an investor looking at in terms of the scale and the opportunity? And that's something that we're really working on. Skills, creating those jobs, really, really important. All that connectivity, we're talking about digitalisation. We need all that to really make this happen. Lessons learned. Projects that are fit for purpose needs to happen. Risk appetite. Local authorities, public sector does not have a high risk appetite. We have to change. Different mindset. And it is about collaboration. We need to be really coming together. It shouldn't just be niche, novel projects. We need to really scale up and have the large-scale production and the offtake. Quite difficult to do, but we can if we put our heads together. Public procurement, we kill ourselves. We tie ourselves up in knots. If we really want to accelerate the uptake, we've really got to change the way we look at procurement. because it is not a way that we can actually really accelerate. So I think that's just a flavour of some of the things we've learned over the period of the last 12 years within the sector. Everything to go for, but we need to go pretty quickly and coordinated. Thank you. Bang.